much stuff floating around. I don't know. People trying to say they wasn't together.
Basically was trying to get into a threesome.
I'm just gonna be like,
that's a whole nother show, honey.
I understand that, but what I'm saying, what I'm saying on that level is, you know, it's a partnership. It's never a competition, and I think unfortunately he made it to where it is a competition. I mean, let's be real. Do some couples make it a competition? Yes, and it's unfortunate, but it should never be a competition.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that, and then I'm gonna play the rest of the clip. For the people that do make it a competition, and that's because they haven't settled their egos. And I have to tell you this, in life, there's no manual to how to do life. We're all out here trying to figure it out, and I get it. And this is why when you are in a union, all the time, and it even says in the word, you gotta be kind to one another. Yes, I know you get frustrated, you get aggravated. I've been saying stuff. I've been saying this for the past 2 years, and you're not listening. And then one day, sometimes people get the light bulb, but you got to understand when to control yourself. And I'm going to talk about submissive. I ain't going to talk about it on this show, but people don't understand the true meaning of that word. And I'm just so sick of it. But anyways, I'm going to play the rest of this clip. Let's go on and continue.
The point, you're trying to, okay, do you have any children?
I do.
So your children need to come get in a relationship with you and your man? Or should they stay in their mother flipping place? That's what I thought.
I don't want my kids to see me.
That's not what I asked.
The same thing.
That's not what I asked.
But this is what I'm asking.
That's not what I asked.
Can I talk? Can I say something?
But you didn't answer the question. Your children need to stay. Your children need to stay in the children's place.
Somebody said I look 48. Okay.
Your children need to stay in the children's place because between you and that man is something that they don't know, they don't understand because they're too young. They shouldn't be trying to judge it through childlike eyes. How old is your oldest?
15.
How old is your youngest?
10.
10 years ago, your oldest still believed in Santa Claus. Children need to stay in children's places. One of the problems we have in the black community is black women put their children in grown places where they should not be. They let their children see and experience stuff they should not experience because the kids do what they naturally do. That's a problem of parenting. Your mama shouldn't have exposed you to it.
So okay, you're right. I can admit that. You are right.
Every other group, black people don't commit adultery and cheat at any exorbitantly higher rates than other people. We just use it as reasons. Bill Gates and Melinda Gates just came out saying, Bill Gates, the most richest man in America, right? What his wife come out saying, oh, by the way, Bill been kicking with his ex-girlfriend all our marriage. Now, see, if there was black folks, Tyler Perry made a movie about it. Because we understand that this whole notion of man and woman, there's always an understanding between the man and the woman. And the man and the woman need to understand this, and the kids need to stay at the kids' place, eat at the kids' table, and not be involved in grown shit. Because I don't know men who just say, I'm gonna wait till the kids come home and I'm gonna whoop your ass in front of the kids. That ain't how men move. I don't know men who say, I'm gonna wait till the kids come and I'm gonna come and scream and holler at you. That's not how men do. And at 30 years old, man, whatever happened to your mother and your grandmother, as traumatic as it is, due respect, man, you got to process that moving on, and it cannot be an excuse because your children can say the same thing.
My thing is, and this is just coming from my experience with dating, you are telling.
Okay, so in this part right here, I definitely understand what he's saying. So he's saying that, we should not be exposing our kids to some of our bad habits. I definitely get that. And I know sometimes in our community that sometimes we do bring the children in our mess because then we have the kids play sides and you saw what your daddy did to me. And sometimes when, there are some bitter women when you're not with the man no more, and then you're putting it on the child to making them decide. That part right there, I don't agree with when a woman does that because that's not fair to the child. Like he said, the child should stay in a child place. However, due to circumstances, everybody will always keep that in mind. When a child grows up seeing toxic behavior, I do agree with her when she said, she said, I went to counseling. And she should have, because guess what? She don't want to, you don't want to spill that over into your relationships, as you're growing up, and as, you want certain things for your household because of what you see growing up. It just pretty much damaged you or made you look at things a lot different. And again, just going back to what I said in the original statement, sometimes a woman is the way she is because of the past trauma. You can't put past trauma underneath the rug. You can't sweep that. That is something that you have to deal with, because guess what? If you don't deal with it, it's gonna trickle into society. You're gonna bring it into your relationships everywhere. You're gonna bring it in your personal relationship, at the workplace. You're gonna try your hardest not to do it at the workplace. But guess what? It's still going to come out. And guess what? How you feel, people will see it. If you say, "Oh, this world sucks to you in your eyes," because you still carry on that baggage from what you saw. And let's be real, it's not just in our communities, because other communities, they see different things. They just don't really talk about it. But now we're at a place where we're realizing we have to talk about it. But you just don't talk about it with everybody. You go to the professionals. You go for the people who has been in those circumstances, and they can give you the proper guidance and tools. Like I just said before, there is no manual in life. We learn. But here's the thing: for the people that season, it is our duty to teach the ones that don't know yet. Now, here's what's going to happen by default. Sometimes you're going to tell them and they're not going to listen. They're going to have to learn from themselves, but you don't want them to, because you know what life is about. But I'm going to stay right here and I'm going to let you speak, Manny.
Yeah. I'm a huge advocate of, letting a child be a child.
Right.
And not growing them up very quickly, because let's be honest, we tend to, I'm not saying I went through this, but I've seen some family members and other kids in the neighborhood go through this. When the daddy is not around, the oldest child, whether it's probably the male child, is the man of the house. And I hate that concept. And the reason why I hate that concept is, first and foremost, that child does not have that. Granted, he's on a collision course of learning about life. And sometimes they learn the wrong things about life too early in life. And then they realize, oh, maybe that's what I should be doing. No, that's not what you should be doing. Because I'll be honest with you, back when Kwame Brown, that's another episode. Back when Kwame Brown was saying all that stuff about everybody basically labeling him as a bust, Charlemagne the God basically told his family business on air and stuff he didn't even know about. And the reason why he didn't know about it is because his mom didn't preview to any of that, because that's traumatic. You're not going to put the family drama on him. And then when he learned about it right then and there, and all hell broke loose for Charlemagne. But for the but staying on subject, I've learned some things about my family as I got older in life. But did I learn them as a child? No. Did I see some things that made me realize that there are certain things I should never get into as a child? Absolutely. But I had that conversation with them when I was ready to have that conversation, and when I was mentally prepared and mentally capable of understanding that. Because a lot of times, a child is not going to understand adult problems. Do you know anybody that's going to understand adult problems?
You don't, because you gotta understand, you have a different perspective, especially and this happens a lot, especially when a child is very attached to their mommy, and they might see daddy hurt mommy. What's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to go to mommy, because that's their mommy. It's it's like, why daddy, why are you acting that way? Now I'm going to say this: it is never, and I repeat, it is never okay for a man to put his hands on a woman. But there are incidents where children are seeing that. And then sometimes some men want to know why their children resent them, because they saw you physically put your hands on their mother.
Not only that, it's just, let's be real. Some kids emulate that.
Right.
Thinking that's the right thing to do. No, it's not. You know what happens with people who do that? They either go to jail, or somebody from their family who willing to take it there, we'll take it there.
Right.
You know, so, but back to what you were saying, it's dramatic on a child when you do stuff like that and the child is not able to act like or be a child.
Right. Because they have to grow up too soon.
They have to grow up too quickly and to grow up too soon, and they're not able to understand certain things right then and there. Now, granted, there are some children, very few, but there are some children who are able to comprehend that and then realize, okay, this is what I need to do. This is not what I need to do. But
right.
That's up to the parents and that's up to the guardians. But
exactly.
I'm going to honk it off right here.
All right, so I'm going to play the rest of this clip.
Go for it.
Women to stay in their place, to be submissive, to be soft, to stand behind their husbands, but they don't reciprocate the same thing. We can do all that, and we still get shitted on.
That's bullshit.
Please tell me how is that bullshit?
It's bullshit because okay, hold on, no. What you focus on, you see. The black community, black men, when surveyed, asked about committed relationships, what percentage of black men cheat at? She did a 28% rate. What rate do black women cheat at?
I don't know what's the number.
24. And there are 2 million more of us. Every time a black man is cheating with somebody, he's cheating with somebody. It's usually with a woman, married or in a relationship. How many black women have multiple children by multiple men? That's polygamy. That's a poly relationship. See, the way you tell the situation is like a woman does the best thing and a man gives her ass keys. A 50+% divorce rate in the country, and it's almost close to 60% of the black community. And 80 to 90% of the relationships, black women are leaving. You're leaving. You're home wrecking. You're breaking up the relationships. Men stay. Y'all leave.
Why do you think women are leaving?
Because you've been sold a Disney fantasy that you should be happy. Instead of understanding that you have duty, honor, respect, and you chose to be in a relationship, especially when you decided to make a baby with somebody, you need to stay for more than just yourself. French toast your happiness.
So I should settle?
No, you should. Are you a Christian?
I'm not.
Well, have you been married?
No, I haven't.
You plan on getting married?
I would like to.
What vows do you plan on taking?
I don't want to settle for nothing less.
What vows do you plan on taking?
I plan on...
For better, for worse, sickness and health, the richer for the death do us part. Then he said shit about happiness.
So I'm supposed to be miserable?
No, you're supposed to be an adult.
Okay.
Bro, hang up on that nigga, man. He's trash.
I'm listening. I just want
Who is this? Is that Big Shirley?
He said, is that Big Shirley? You know he called shit. That's him.
I mean, I'm trash. See, this is what I'm saying. This woman, this so-called woman, supposed woman can say I'm trash. What if I said this wrong, Big Shirley? Bring the facts, the data, the statistics. Don't bring your trash-ass attitude and take your bonnet off if you're going to get on here.
Bitch, I don't worry about hanging on it.
Yeah, that's what I see. And that's what I mean. That's all you got to do. That comes out the bitches and everything else. That's why your fat ass going to die by yourself. Kick rocks. You can't make this shit up. Inevitably triggered by understanding. I got to settle. I got to do this. Run, gentlemen. Run from these women. There is no negotiating with them. Leave. Nothing you do is going to be right. Always the worst case scenario. Why? Because single women keep women single. You can hear the cholesterol in her voice. Hang up on that nigga. That nigga trash.
I got beans, creams, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, hogs, dog, chicken, turkey, crap.
Hang up on that nigga. He's trash. Why does she try to do it? She couldn't even walk across.
I can't. I'm done with him. I'm just done with Kevin Samuels. My thoughts.
Let's hear it.
The sense of what he's saying, because I want to make sure I interpret it correctly. When you choose that person that you want to marry, yes, you have to choose correctly, because if you do not choose correctly, what's going to happen is all the things that she listed. I should stay in an unhealthy marriage. I should stay in someone who does not respect me. You know, all those things come when you choose the right partner. And absolutely, I agree. You have to make those choices when you do want to have a child with someone. Absolutely. Sometimes that is not always the case. We cannot take blame everyone. So we have to take fault in how we choose the man. But also too, this is why it is important for us to see what a healthy household looks like. Because if we don't, then we're going to emulate the choices our grandparents and our parents made. And again, not to blame them, because when you don't know better, you're going to do. It's like monkey see, monkey do. Now, if someone taught you and teach you differently, you're like, oh, okay, that's what marriage is about. Oh, that's the foundation of marriage. So again, just going back to what Kevin was saying and what she's saying, it's all about how you're picking and choosing that spouse. So yes, when you are in a marriage, it's not about, oh, today he pissed me off. It's not about that, because there's going to be days. It's going to be days you don't even like your spouse. But then there's going to be moments where you understand what brought the union together. We go through this trial and error together. But again, that does not mean you stay there and you stay in an abusive marriage, or someone that's not even trying to understand where you come from. That's where all hell break loose and destruction happen. What's your thoughts, Manny?
I mean, my whole thoughts on marriage is just jaded as it is, but my whole thing with choosing the right person is, you have to understand and know this person inside and out. Like when I was dating, I want to know what makes, as I always say, what makes this person tick. Like what makes her happy, what makes her sad, what makes her angry, what makes her elated, what makes her pissed off. So I know how to handle said emotion about whatever she does. Now, let's also make it clear. I think the dating game itself, or just the courtship game, has changed over the years since our grandparents, parents, today. I think a lot of it is based on, I think more, I want to say more women want I don't want to say the more simple things, but they knew what they want. They knew what they want, and they knew what to ask for. I think versus some women today is they want certain things, but they're not willing to budge off of certain things that are just unrealistic. But let's be honest with ourselves. Is marriages a lot more different than they were back in the day? Absolutely. Because let's be honest. I'll give you a great example. My parents, whenever they took trips, two things would either happen. Either they would take a trip together, or they will take a trip together with the kids.
Right. No,
now,
hold on, I got to intercept real quick. You said they would take a trip together or take a trip with the children. It wasn't both at different times?
It was both at different times. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's either or. That's what I'm saying. Maybe I should have specified that a little bit better. But It's either or. But you'll never see the husband take a trip by himself, or you'll never see the wife take a trip by himself. You see that more often, whereas guys will do more guys trip or bachelor parties, and they'll leave the wife and kids at home for the weekend. Or if the wife want to do a girls trip with her friends or soror sisters, they would leave the husband with the kids, or sometimes we'll leave the husband and put the kids with grandma, and they will go on about their business. Right. And you see that a lot more often now these days, where you pretty much didn't see that back in the day.
So can I intercept on there? Because I have to say there's a big difference between then and now. Back then,
absolutely,
the women, they like we were talking about before, they held the household down more. And they didn't get bricks. Yeah, they might have had Big Mama back then, but the main debt went on the mother, and that caused her to go into an overwhelming state. But now, since we're in a different day and age, we're recognizing that mental health is real, and mental health plays a big part. So it is okay for mommy or daddy to take that self-vacation, maybe once or twice a year. There's nothing wrong with that. I have a problem with that when you make that like a daily habit, like when you're always out the home. And then the kids will, mommy's never home because mommy needs to go out and do X, Y, and Z. That's not cool. And I definitely honestly feel that, yes, a person should take a trip by themselves. A person should take a trip with their spouse. And a person should also take a trip with their family, because you have to have those degrees of separation. That is very healthy. But it's also, like I just said, how often. But Manny, I know we are running out of time, but I think this was a great show. This was a great dialogue. You know, yes, even though sometimes Kevin Samuels make me just want to vomit, you know, on his delivery. Maybe if he toughen up his delivery, I might have a different, you know, outlook. But I still hear the message, but it's just like sometimes, you know, what you say and how you say it, it does matter. And that plays a big factor into a relationship.
Plays a big factor in communication, period.
Right.
Whether you're in a relationship, not a relationship, or whether you're co-workers or whatever, I mean, communication is key. If you don't have communication, you got nothing.
Absolutely. So, everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please tell us in the comment what you thought about it, what you think about Kevin Samuels, what you think about what me and Manny just said. Continue to follow us here at the Lady K Chat Podcast here on YouTube, IG, Spotify, and Apple. Please leave a comment, like, and share. Remember, Lady K Enterprises sponsored this show today, a financial service entity that helps people get started in business and help you with production services, media services, and also too with your taxes. So with that being said, everyone have a great night. Remember to visit our website at www.ladykenterprisesinc and see you next time.
Laters.
Lady K.